swing of things with that game against Houston? What was it like sort of getting back into action?
It was fun. Don't really feel personally pleased with the Houston game. I think more just the input wise, I think I could have been a lot better in a lot of various ways. I think it was good to feel aggressive and to get out there and get a feel for the pace and within the flow of the offense. I think there were times where I look back where I got stuck, and that's now the evolution to where our chemistry comes in. Of in those moments, what do I do? But I'm glad that it came out then, as opposed to 2 months from now. And you know, now we're asking questions that we should have answered around this time. So I think all in all, though, it was fun to be out there. You know, anytime you get the chance to play basketball, for me, for the first time to be in the Atlanta jersey in Atlanta was cool as well.
And making that transition from Minnesota to Atlanta, now that you've had a full camp and you've gone through preseason, like how much of a difference is it on offense? Does it feel like you're kind of doing the same things? Does it feel like there's some different objectives? Like, how does it compare?
Well, definitely different, and the reason why I came here is because it was different. You know, my role is going to be expanded offensively, and also just different styles of play. I think from how fast historically Quinn has played compared to when I was in Minnesota. I think, you know, like I was watching the Memphis game, and one of the stats was about holding teams to under 100. And, you know, in Minnesota, that was like a common thing we would do. And now, being here, it's so much tougher because we put so many possessions into the game, just how fast you play. So it's hard to, you know, like when you're shooting with 15 on the clock, 16 on the clock, and so most of the time they're good looks. You know, if you're not, you're getting deep into the clock still being able to generate looks. But when you speed the game up like that, it just gives the other team so many opportunities. So I think all in all, it's just a different style of play, but nonetheless, for me and the involvement and allowing me to grow and pushing myself in these areas to learn, to deep dive and practice, trying to get everything out of the practice that I can.
How close are you to being adjusted to the new pace? Mentally, physically, like, oh, I should go now.
Mentally, I would say I'm adjusted. Physically, it's a new level of endurance you need. You know, just the way that I play defensively. And then to run it back offensively, you know, and now my usage is going up. And whereas, like, you know, I could exasperate all my energy on defense in Minnesota, and you got Ant and Julius taking care of it. So now it's like I'm stepping into where I also have to facilitate. Now I have to alleviate Trey. And the offense allows everyone to kind of do so. And so for me, physically, it's just building the competitive endurance.
And Nickeil, you brought it up already, but I was going to ask you about, you know, we saw you bringing the ball up, we saw you kind of playmaking there, just the challenges with doing that and getting acclimated to it for you, and just seeing the game from that perspective. Like, how has that changed for you?
Just taking care of the ball. You know, I wasn't pleased with how many turnovers I had compared to assists and getting guys looks. I think playing with pace, and then I'm learning it better. It's just, you know, not always one speed. Getting to things in different ways and understanding through our concepts how to manipulate the game to our favor, no matter what teams are doing. You know, like what the great guys always kind of do, and I'm getting that now. Like, this is my opportunity, and I'm giving myself the grace to make those mistakes, because from those mistakes is where I'll be able to then thrive eventually.
When you look back at the preseason of that Houston game, just what maybe were some of the common themes that you saw that led to maybe some of those turnovers that you didn't like?
Sometimes spacing, but also a little bit of hesitancy, like questioning, should I not? And I think, you know, as long as our intentions are in the right place, we can live with certain mistakes, you know, and they'll kind of show. And then eventually, through those mistakes, you learn, and then you avoid it. So I think understanding that can be helpful, and not second guessing. You know, we do all these different drills in practice, and it's good to go out there and make the mistake. Don't be afraid to turn the ball over. Understanding you want to take care of the ball, understanding you want to value each possession, but I've learned basketball is always easier when you're not second guessing it.
You know, you talked about the pace and being comfortable, trying to get comfortable with that. I guess team-wise, how do you feel comfortable with, knowing where guys are, where they want to be, and on defense, switching, things like that? How comfortable do you feel going into the regular season like that?
I think this group talks really well. I think we talked really well today. When we had turnover train, Big O, they talked about it, and then all of us, we like in certain situations and drills, we're talking about it. So I think that's a good sign. It makes it easier because I have things to keep in mind for the next time. Like, especially if we find ourselves in sticky positions, I'm gonna say, hey, do you want me to do this again? Because I can. If not, let me know. Those are the things that are gonna give me the reassurance come game time in situations how to handle it. Especially with Dyson, I think instinctually, him defensively as well as myself, we kind of pick up on things and where it's almost like I don't need to say it. He doesn't need to say it, but we understand situationally. But as far as the whole team goes, in each lineup, each group that we throw out there, just kind of building that way.
What's the biggest difference philosophically between Chris Finch's defense and what you're seeing here?
I think pick and roll is slightly different. But then, when you have guys like Rudy and Jaden McDaniels, and Mike Conley, it makes things a little bit easier because individually they'll take care of the ball. And you can play things more 2-on-2. You can have the versatility to say, you know what? Tonight we're not going to do this. Tonight we're simply going to respond to how a team wants to play and do that coverage, and we'll probably do the same. But for us, it's establishing that with KP, establishing that with situations with Trey. Teams are going to try to hunt him up. In Minnesota, there wasn't much hunting because of just everyone's ability to guard. So it's a little bit different.
In the fourth quarter, it seemed like Zachary had more responsibility with the ball than he's ever had in his whole career. If I don't want to be presumptuous, but if you've sort of developed that responsibility more and more as your career's gone on, what's that experience like when they trust you to make decisions with the ball as opposed to maybe, being in the corner or operating out of the dunker spot or something like that?
I think it comes down to how you choose to use the opportunity. For Zach, the person he is, I think for him it'll be easy and it'll be good for him because he's not going to abuse the said opportunity he's given. We're giving you the ball, Zach. He understands it's to make the right play. It's not to just go have fun, see what you can do, test some stuff, and I don't think his mind's there at all. So I think it's good because, one, the more comfortable he is, the better he gets, the more he grows, another dynamic added to the team, and that makes us more difficult. The more depth you can have going into April, going into May, and God's willing June, the more dynamic you can become.